Okay, team, I make it 12:30, so we'll get going. Welcome to the September Worcester Acute NHS Health Care Trust Board. My name's Russell Hardy. I'm the new chair, along with Glenn Burley, the new chief executive. We arrived on the 1st of August. Delighted to meet many of you digitally. Today, we've already had a board workshop, and we have the AGM tonight of Worcester Acute. So if you're able to join us, it would be lovely to see you digitally then again. I'd just like to say a few words before we get going with the board. The first is welcome and thank you to the Worcester board for choosing to join the foundation group. Glenn and I, as well as being chair and chief executive here, are chair and chief executive at Wye Valley Trust, South Warwickshire NHS Foundation Trust, and the George Eliot. But we're delighted to have you join our family, so to speak, and we are optimistic about the way we will all be able to share best practice and improve one another's performance. There have been some things which have really impressed me since I've arrived. The first is, and it's just a simple example, the incredible support amongst so many members of staff. I've joined the Worcester Acute staff Facebook page, and it's great to see the support that goes on behind the scenes to colleagues doing various different things. But a few shouts out that I'd like to make. The first is to Sue Blackburn, who recently retired as Troy Morton orthopaedic nurse. Sue, we wish you well, having worked with us for a number of years as ward manager. The second person I'd like to give a shout out is Claire Bush, our divisional director of nursing, who's been intimately involved in all the hard work on our new UEC department. And the third is, I know there was a big team of staff members who took part in the 10K for the Worcester Bowel Cancer Support Group, and they were successful, and members of the family were involved as well. So a big round of applause to all of you. Going forwards, I'm sure Glenn and I will introduce something we have elsewhere, which is the Going the Extra Mile Award, which celebrates staff who have really gone the extra yard. And I am incredibly impressed by how hard colleagues are working to try and give the best service we can. However, I'm also very conscious of the fact that even today, for citizens who are trying to get into our emergency department, there are significant delays. We apologise for that. We are aware that we do need to improve our performance, hence a number of the investments we are making. We do know we need to do a better job at getting you home faster once you've been with us, and we're very aware of the hospital-acquired functional decline that can occur if we keep you in hospital longer than you need to. So there is an awful lot of work for us to do going forwards to make Worcester Acute the real pride of Worcestershire that I know all of our staff and all of the citizens of Worcestershire want us to be. So we haven't had any items of any other business notified as we've gone along, but we do have a few apologies of absence. Tina and Christine, two of our executive directors, are on holidays, so we've got Jules and Liz joining us today, and we have two of our non-execs not with us. The first is Sue and the second is Tony. Any new declarations of interest, colleagues, apart from those which have already been registered? Could you please raise a digital hand? Can't see any digital hands raised, so I'll take that as being complete, and Glenn and I have put into the public record our declarations of interest. So we start off our board with a patient story, and I'm delighted that Ria Wilkins has kindly offered to share with her her experience. So Ria, we're over to you, but thank you for your time today. Ria.
Hi there. So I just wanted to share with you my mum's story. She was diagnosed in 2011 with early onset dementia. She was 54 when she got her diagnosis. We had noticed symptoms for possibly a couple of years prior to actually seeking medical help with our GP. We started the process in January of 2011, and because she was so young and the symptoms that we were describing could have fitted many different diagnoses. We had to go through a deduction before we got to the point where we could investigate what was actually happening. So Mum actually got the final diagnosis in October 2011. The early onset dementia team were really good. Once they got involved, they were really informative with us, and we had a specialist nurse who we could speak to. After diagnosis, we were introduced to some dementia cafes. We actually only went to two, one of which, the first one we went to was during the day, but it happened to be in the school holidays. So Mum worked as a dinner lady in a primary school, and I was working in a state secondary school at the time. So we managed to go to that. We pulled off some interesting stuff about different benefits that we could claim for. But then we noticed at that point how a lot of most of the attendees were of an older demographic, sort of more in their 70s rather than in their 50s. We then managed to go to one other dementia cafe that was in an evening. Those evening ones disappeared quite quickly, so we only managed to go to one. But from that, we were told that we could possibly apply for a disabled badge, which was great as well. So we got the ball rolling with that. After that, we just couldn't go to any more because they were either in the daytime or they cancelled the evening ones. So that kind of went by quite quickly. The early onset team disengaged with us probably about 6 months after diagnosis. We were then being seen in the community by a psychiatrist, I think it was, who saw Mum possibly 5 times. She was diagnosed. She was given various different medication. And once we got those levels right, they again sort of disengaged with us. So we were kind of left on our own for quite some time. My dad became quite poorly and had to be admitted into hospital. And he was in and out of hospital for about 4 months. And that then fell to my brother and I to then care for Mum. Luckily, it was in the summer holidays, so I had some time, and we managed to get Mum into various different day care options, so we could still look after her in the evenings, but we knew that she was being looked after during the day. We had to investigate and find those ourselves. My aunt at the time was working as a district nurse, so she was great at signposting and told us things that we wouldn't have known and had no way of finding out. Sort of fast forward, and we were then given, when Mum, the school wanted Mum to retire, and I told them that they had to say that she could no longer work due to ill health. So we had to then have another sort of diagnosis almost, and we had to see a specialist for that. Once we sorted out Mum's work situation, we then had some carers come in. So we had a social